I wanted to talk through, frankly, something that's really important: how you and I can take care of ourselves, how effectively the way that we treat ourselves can heal and repair the relationship with ourselves. And so many times, our relationship with ourselves actually broke at various ages. A lot of times, it was when we were young and someone told us something about ourselves, and then we believed it. And we never pushed back. We never kind of fought for what we knew was true in that moment. And little by little, we effectively chipped away at our confidence in ourselves and trust in ourselves because we chose to trust someone else. And it could have been so small, like someone saying that we laughed too loud, or someone saying that we weren't good at a sport. I was talking to someone the other day and they mentioned, I distinctly remember when I was laughed when I was playing baseball and I never played again. And there's so many moments like that for every single one of us, where we had this miniature moment in time, this half a millisecond that really shaped the way that we think, the way we view ourselves, the way we engage with the world. And so when we talk about how to take care of ourselves, there's something about returning to that moment in childhood and actually healing it. Because otherwise, for so long as we don't heal that brief moment in time, however big, however small, and if we don't do that, that moment is actually going to continue to shape the way that we live moving forward. There's something also about, not only is it shaping the way that we view the world, but when we come into a moment of stress, or when we come into a moment of upset or anxiousness, we actually return to that moment in time. And thus, we also return to the age that we were at that point as well. I was talking to an individual who is a child psychiatrist in behavioral analysis, and he works with adoptive children and adoptive parents. And he said, when we're in a state of stress, we regress, because for so many of us, we've really only developed the left part of our brain, which is the intellect. That's when we go to school, we learn the ABCs, we learn math, we learn all this kind of intellectual learnings around the world, but we don't learn the emotions, which is the right side. We don't learn how to cultivate relationships. We don't know how to actually cultivate a relationship with ourselves. And so then we wonder, why is it so incredibly hard to do relationships in the first place? Why is it so hard to even take care of ourselves, much less take care of somebody else? So when we think of why are we doing this? Well, it's so that the past isn't running the present. It's so that we're not caught off guard by all of a sudden being an adult and acting like an adult. And then just like that, we return to being a child, so that effectively there's more consistency, there's more reliability in the way that we show up with other people. They can depend on us because we're becoming mature, emotional adults rather than being intellectual adults and emotional children. But the only way that we can do that is actually by going back to some of those moments in childhood that were really painful, and effectively taking care of that little kid that we shut up or shut down because the world told us we were too big, too much, too loud, and we need to go back and repair that broken relationship. So when we think about how do we take care of ourselves today, one of the biggest ways that we do that is by creating space, actually creating time in our busy, busy lives and busy calendars to sit and think, how am I doing? How am I actually feeling? Y'all, I was reminded of this because I got some news today, and it wasn't even some news. I saw a picture of just something. And, well, I'll tell you. I saw a picture of my former husband. It was through someone else, and I saw him with another woman. And I assumed he'd be dating at this point. That, of course, that's kind of bound to happen. But it just kind of caught me off guard a little bit. And even now, I just feel it kind of in my stomach right now. I feel just the discomfort of emotion that's there. And what I realized earlier today was that I was thinking about what's the normal way to react? What's the normal way of engaging with this? Is it like, should I talk to somebody about it? Should I just pretend like nothing happened? Pretend like I didn't see it? And what I was doing was I was looking at myself through everyone else's eyes. I was looking at how to take care of myself through how other people would advise me, rather than actually taking space and going inward and saying, how am I doing right now? And Y'all, that's so important that we create this space and then we actually listen, because if we don't actually understand how we're feeling in that moment, there's no way for us to move through the emotion to get to the other side. And then what happens is that emotional pain stays blocked in our souls and in our hearts. And so frankly, tomorrow morning I'm gonna actually journal about this, because it is hard. And honestly, when I saw that picture, the very first thought was, what is it about her? Why not me? And it's not like I necessarily would, go back to the, it's like all the thoughts come in, and it's like, well, it's not necessarily that I even want that now, but it's just the pain of rejection. It's the pain of loss. It's the pain of everything that's happened over the years because he left. And so it's all of these points of noise in my head that frankly I silenced because of how other people would advise me. And so what was really interesting was, it's so important, and I so appreciate every single one of you here in the chat on YouTube. Guys, thank you so much for just being so encouraging. I think all of us know what this is like, to be rejected and then not really know what to do when rejection's handed to you. And you're like looking at this rejection of saying, you're not worthy, you're not enough. And we hold it, and it's like, what do I do with this? What do I do with rejection? What do I do with this pain? And the thing that has probably been most healing for me in my entire life has been to actually look at the rejection, square it off with it, and speak the truth about who I am and whose I am. And what's really interesting there is that I can look to everyone around me to tell me who I am, or I can remember who God made me to be. And that requires me actually going inward and me actually remembering, what are my gifts? What are my strengths? What was I called to do? What makes me impassioned? What makes me come alive? Because by doing that, it actually kind of gives me courage. It reminds me of my purpose and my calling, and that there's not any one person that can dictate my worth other than the person who created me. And he says I'm loved, and he says I'm enough, and he says I'm worthy. So what that does is that doesn't mean that the pain goes away, the pain of rejection, but what it does mean is that there's so much hope on the other side, so long as we're brave enough to move through it. And Nolan, I just saw you say, what are we talking about today? We're talking effectively about how do we take care of ourselves when we're faced with the pain of rejection. And Aubrey, I just saw you said that you caught your best friend and your boyfriend together, and that's so, so painful. And it is true. It's, what do we do when we're faced with something that's so devastatingly painful? So for me, it's been squaring off with it, actually acknowledging what's going on, not hiding from it, not suppressing it, but looking at it and then reminding ourselves of what's true. And y'all, this is really, really important, because what it calls into question is, well, what's our source of truth? Is it actually what other people say? Or am I actually having the ultimate source of truth being a real authority figure? And when I say authority figure, I'm talking about, for me, it's God. Who does God say that I am? Because that kind of silences everybody else, even though it doesn't mean that I don't still hear their whispers or that it's not still painful. It means that at the end of the day, this is actually going to be the thing that I abide by and that I live by. So 1, create the space. 2, actually confront what it is that I'm feeling. And then 3, what's really interesting? I've found that the more I actually do the things that I really loved as a child, the more I actually found so much more joy in my life. And so some of that is, I really love acting. It's really fun for me. I love to play. And when I say play, I mean like literally my sisters and I were doing a paint by number this weekend. And it means like doing silly accents with my niece. It means we were playing piano and singing Christmas carols. It's really just engaging life in a really visceral way. When we're kids, we're experiencing life. We're not sitting here scrolling on our phones. And so to that point, there's something about play that's so important and so life-giving. And it kind of reminds us man, it's like, this is what life's all about. It's these moments that are so precious and so being so present. And Aubrey, I just saw you say me too. Y'all, it's like, what was life giving to you when you were a kid? And how can we make more of those moments now? How can we make more of those moments? And the thing that's interesting is that we actually have to make that. When we were kids, it just kind of happened. But now today, we actually have to create moments of magic and beauty with intention. But the thing that's cool is that we actually get to do that. Guys, it's so easy. I find myself falling into this habit, and it's like we have to break the habit of placing so much blame on other people for why our life looks the way that it is. Because when we do that, we're actually giving away all of our power. But by taking our power back, we then can create something that's different and something that's better. And there's so much hope in that. And it's really exciting. And then it becomes the question of, well, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? And as we think about those questions, that's when creativity starts to flow. And that's kind of when we start to play again, because all of a sudden we've moved out of the past and we're no longer living in the past, but we're living in the present of what do I want right here, right now? So sitting at the kitchen table on Saturday morning, doing literally a paint by number with my sisters, which is like what you do when you're a kid, we had cocktails and mimosas, and it was just so fun. And we were just chatting and being really present in the moment. And so, my question for you is, what would taking care of yourself look like given what you really love, given what you really enjoy? Y'all, when I first started this therapy 3 years ago, 4 years ago, my therapist was like, well, what do you need? And I was like, I don't need anyone. I don't need anything. And he was like, no, you need oxygen. I was like, okay, fine. I need oxygen. He was like, you need water. Okay, fine. I need water. But the thing is that as I came to really acknowledge the fact, okay, yes, I need oxygen. Yes, I need water. I realized I actually really do need relationships. I actually really love other people. I get so like nourished when I go play and have fun with other people. Even just this October, I did a trip with my parents and my sisters, and I realized how much more fun it is to travel with other people than traveling solo. But that came after I learned to be able to be content with myself. So there's kind of this process of we have to be able to take care of and nourish ourselves. And then we get to go and engage in relationships that are so life giving. And it's almost like an addition to the foundation that's really strong that we've created with ourselves and frankly with God too. You know, there's something I was talking about this yesterday on the Knowing Show. We're never alone. That's one of the promises that God has given us, is that we never have to experience life alone ever again. And so, regardless of us going inward, right, taking the time, creating space to listen to our emotions, how are we doing, comes face to face, squaring off with the truth, actually kind of restoring our soul by doing what we love, then we add to it, and then we go and spend time with other people. And Aubrey, I just saw you said my parents don't really spend time with me. I I have found, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. I have found that I actually really need to initiate with my parents. I think sometimes until we take the initiative and really prove to them, like, no, I want to be friends with you, I actually want to hang out with you, man, it's almost like I think that they feel kind of vulnerable hoping that we want to be with them. I I just found that with my dad, it's like he would never ask really. But I think that they really, really want that. It's almost like too good to be true to have your kids want to be with you and want to hang out with you. And so the more I've initiated with my dad, the more he's really like blossomed and opened up. And here's another thing. I will now intentionally ask him questions, whereas he has hardly ever initiated about himself and like opened up. So I'm curious if what you find when you do that, asking questions, taking the initiative. I think our parents have a lot that they want to give to us, and just a lot that they want to continue to contribute in our lives. I actually asked my parents, I asked them their advice on me and my boyfriend, and I'm 32 years old, and I wanted to know what they thought. I wanted to know what their opinion was, and I wanted to know, did they think we were moving quickly, or did they think I was being wise? I think that they really love that too. They love being asked for their wisdom. So when we think about taking care of ourselves, when we think about nurturing ourselves, man, then we can go and nurture these relationships because we actually have come to a place of contentment. Not even just contentment, but like we're good. And then we can go and engage with other people, whether it's our parents or our siblings or our partners, our friends. And now we actually have something to give because we've invested in ourselves. And y'all, that is, man, that's freedom for them to be able to find respite in us. And as we then give to them, that's really healing for us too. Aubrey, I just saw you said my mom's parents always yelled at her and hit her. Oh my gosh. And then you said, and her sister's friends hurt her. Man, isn't that, guys, this is what's so crazy. Aubrey, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, we get the chance, we get the opportunity that once we do the work to heal ourselves, we can maybe go heal our parents. And we can't do the healing work for them, but our love could be the antidote to them. Like, isn't that wild? Guys, they gave so much to us, even if we didn't like the way that they raised us, even if we didn't love the way that they showed up with us or for us. The reality is that we're here today because of them. And what a healing thing for us to be able to tell them how we've grown, shown them how we've grown by example, and then by proxy, they actually get to heal or grow as a result of that. Y'all, I really have found so much meaning and joy in this whole process of taking care of myself. And it's also really truly benefited my relationships. You know, I'm a healthier person for those that I love. And there's less almost like, what do I want to say? It's like walking on eggshells. If you don't know who the person is that you're going to encounter, there's instability there. And I'm working on this still. Like to this day, I'm really seeking to ongoingly grow in this way of just really being a consistent person every day for those that I love. But the only way that I can show up consistently for those I love so that they can reliably trust in the way that you and I offer to contribute love and the way that we offer to love on them is for us to be able to really go inward, know how we're doing, and present consistently for those that we love. But we have to go in and do the work first. Otherwise, it really is going to be an unreliable gift of love that we give to other people. And then the question is it even a gift after all? So what do you love? What did you enjoy as a kid? And how can you start adding in that type of life-giving joy back into your life and creating those moments and really kind of take charge of your life? Because we're not victims. We really, really get to be the one in the driver's seat. Things are going to happen. Some things we can't control, but for so much of life, we get to choose our response. The man, Viktor Frankl, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and he wrote it when he was a German concentration camp. And he said, they can strip away everything. They can strip away every part of my external freedom, but they cannot strip away my power to choose how I respond. We always, no matter what, we will always be able to maintain that power, that choice to response. Aubrey, you said you loved when you and your cousins went and played in the sprinklers. I absolutely love it. That's so fun. Okay. Do that this summer. I love that. I used to host little camps for kids, and I decided I'm going to start doing that with my niece because even though, you know, I did that when I was 12, I think. But this summer I'm going to do a little camp for my niece and her friends. Y'all, it's so life-giving when we really can take the work that we're doing for ourselves and then start giving it to other people. And people are hungry. Guys, think about walking into a grocery store, walking into a coffee shop, walking and into a gas station to pay for the gas. At every single touch point, every single day, there are people for us to love. But if we're coming from an empty tank, it's probably not going to be as good of an encounter as it could be. So if we're filling up every day and really meeting our own needs, then we really get to give so much to other people. And I will say, with that element of community, it comes back to us. Even tonight, I was talking to a friend and she said effectively, she's like, having the return on her investment. So she's been investing in these relationships, and over the last couple of months she's been experiencing like the return of all of that, which is from when we give, so often we receive right back. It's just, I guess, the law of the land, the law of God is that we give what we receive. So y'all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow on the